And we are live. What's going on, YouTube? And welcome to Goal Line Hockey. It is our official NHL Free Agent Frenzy live stream. Um, a lot of stuff has already started to go down this afternoon. Recently, Joel Edmondson ended up going to the Washington Capitals. Um, we actually predicted that here at Goal Line Hockey earlier this spring. I thought that Joel Edmondson would have been a great fit for that Capitals blue line. He was on he has 1 year left on his deal, which allows for basically, if it doesn't work out, they could figure it out for him next year. If they decide they don't want to keep him. But another Kevin pick here. Kevin was right again. So all the people that say, man, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, this and that, yes. But if you put two and two together, certain things make sense. Joel Edmondson to Washington was kind of a fit for a while. So, give myself a little clap on the back there. But we've got a couple of other things going on as well here because, as the trades and signings start coming in, of course, some of the ones that we kind of knew about for a while, going back earlier this week, Milan Lucic will actually be going back to the Boston Bruins. So I'm sure the Bruins fans are happy to see Milan Lucic, maybe not in the form that he was the last time he was in Boston, but the Bruins will be reuniting one of their own there. Let's take a look. Who else? Taylor Hall and Nick Foligno were in Chicago. We knew that already. Who else do we have here? Klim Kostin, who was part of the Steve Yzerman trade with Kayla Yamamoto and Kostin coming down to Detroit. The Red Wings locked him up to a 2-year deal, $2 million per season. That's a nice contract there. Oliver Ekman-Larsson earlier today signed a 1-year deal, $2.25 million to sign with the Florida Panthers. So OEL is back in the NHL. Let's see who else is new on this list. Mackenzie Blackwood signed a 2-year deal, 2.25. 2.5 on a 2-year deal for Blackwood in San Jose. So he'll be sticking around with the Sharks. Joey Daccord the other night, after a great run with the Coachella Valley Firebirds in the AHL. Joey Daccord signs a 2-year extension to stay in Seattle. $1.2 million is the price on that one. Ryan Reeves signs a 3-year deal, $1.35 million per season. This is a big pickup for the Leafs as they try to get bigger, add a little size to that team, become a little bit meaner and nastier. Ryan Reeves is now a member of the Toronto Maple Leafs. There's been some rumors about what might be happening with Blake Wheeler. It sounds like he'll be going to the East Coast. Rumors have most recently been that maybe the Islanders and the Rangers are in the conversation there, so keep an eye out on that. Luke Schenn ends up going to the Nashville Predators. Honestly, I think that's a good fit. That's not too surprising in my opinion. We know Barry Trotz likes his bigger defensemen, so this makes a ton of sense. Thank you. So we'll see what happens. The price was a 3rd and a 7th for Joel Edmondson. Yep. So let me know what you guys think down below. What are your guys' thoughts so far on some of these signings? We haven't had anything big. Really, the top name on the board is Dmitry Orlov, which is kind of sad, but that is the top deal on the board right now. So we'll see what happens there. Like I said, here at the top of the hour, Luke Schenn goes to the Nashville Predators on a 3-year deal. And another thing to add to the Joel Edmondson situation, half of his salary was retained by the Montreal Canadiens. So 50% salary retention by the Montreal Canadiens for Joel Edmondson and his contract. So we'll see what happens there. The Penguins have signed Matt Nieto to a 2-year deal. Now, what's interesting about Nieto this morning, there was a lot of ties that he might be going to Edmonton. It sounds like Pittsburgh and Kyle Dubas came in. Hold on. Yeah, so Matt Nieto this morning was projected to go to Edmonton, but now he is a member of the Penguins. So I'm not sure what Dubas did there at the last minute, but that's kind of where things are at. What's going on? So they said, so another report is saying Matt Nieto is going back to Colorado. So I don't know who to believe. So keep an eye on Matt Nieto. There's been a lot of interesting, conflicting reports on Matt Nieto. So we're going to stay tuned with that here over the next little while. Adam Fantilli signed a 3-year deal, his 3-year entry level contract. So we'll see what happens there. Antti Ranta signs a 1-year extension with the Hurricanes. So he'll be sticking around in Carolina. And I would think that's the end for Freddie Anderson. So Freddie Anderson probably is going to be going elsewhere. 88-25. You don't have to go. It's fine. You don't have to go. What's going on, Shazam? Welcome to the chat. Our Islanders fan here says, Big Kev, I read a report that Lou got out of bed to pee. Uh-oh. Back to dreamland. Seriously, I doubt Lou does anything of substance today. We need scoring and puck-moving defensemen. Absolutely. I totally agree. I've heard rumors about Matt Duchene to the Islanders, but I just don't think that's going to happen here. I just don't think it's going to work. There's been rumors about DeBrincat, but unless the Islanders are moving oh, wow. So Ryan O'Reilly is going to Nashville. Wow. So a couple of big moves here by Barry Trotz. Wow. That's a pretty big one. So Ryan O'Reilly and Luke Shen are now members of the Nashville Predators. Yeah, for the Islanders, I would like to see them go after a defenseman. In terms of the trade market, I definitely look at guys like Noah Hannafin or Chris Tanev. Yes, and Matt Duchene did get bought out. And Connor Brown going to the Oilers. Okay, thank you, Toe, for that. Yeah, what's going on, Toe? Welcome to the chat. Welcome, Urban, Shazam, Toe. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for joining. Connor Brown, yes. Connor Brown. So we'll see what happens there. Thank you for that. So the total for O'Reilly is 4 years, 4.5 million per season. So Ryan O'Reilly getting a big paycheck before he leaves the National Hockey League. That's an overpayment, I think. I like Ryan O'Reilly, but that's a steep price. And he definitely had a decline this year. Man, good for him, though. Good for O'Reilly, but that's a steep price tag by the Preds. Yes, thank you for joining us, Rob. He said, I'm hoping Eisman does not make some crazy move to get DeBrincat. That's been the rumor. The Red Wings are one of those teams with the amount of young prospects they have. You do wonder if there is something to be done with DeBrincat. I know that a lot of Red Wing fans don't love that idea, but I don't know. It's going to be an interesting development. I know that there's a lot of working the phones right now in Ottawa and Alex DeBrincat and also Erik Karlsson in San Jose. There's been a lot of teams linked to Erik Karlsson over the last couple of weeks. So we're going to see what happens, how those two guys specifically fall through, where things end up going. Another storyline to watch is William Nylander. He's a year away from unrestricted free agency. Same thing for Austin Matthews. So they could both sign a contract today. It doesn't sound like they're anywhere near close on either of those guys, either Nylander or Matthews. Now, Matthews seems more likely at this point, but they are not going to have a deal done probably this week. And that was from Elliot Friedman the other day. He doesn't think we're going to see any deal here in the very quick future for Matthews. So keep an eye on those two guys as well. So the Panthers signed Kevin Stenlund to a 1-year deal, $1 million cap it. That's from Elliot Friedman. Nathan Bastian stays in New Jersey, signs a 2-year deal, 1.35 AAV. Not too bad. Nathan Bastian's been a decent prospect for the New Jersey Devils, and it sounds like they're trying to keep him around and continue to invest in him. I think that's a good move. He's young enough. Excuse me, guys. What's going on? Urban says, anyone want Jared Spurgeon? Anyone? Montreal, please. I know you like small guys. Yeah, that would actually be pretty interesting. I don't think they're going to do that, though. Um, Interesting. So the Bruins have signed JVR, James Van Riemsdyk, to a 1-year deal worth a million AAV. Mikey McLeod signs a 1-year extension to stay in Newark, New Jersey. He's going to be a part of the Devils for $1.4 million this coming season. Jared Anderson Dolan re-signs a 1-year deal, $775K for the season. So keeping him around. He really hasn't developed into the prospect they were hoping for. So really one more shot here for Jared Anderson Dolan. So we'll see what happens there. Yeah, that's a big one for Nashville. So Nashville brings in Luke Shen for a 3-year deal and Ryan O'Reilly for a 4-year deal. So a couple of pretty big moves here. It's the one you have, the green one's okay. Um, So it sounds like, the whole, quick rebuild. Barry Trotz wasn't kidding. He means a quick rebuild, bringing in a couple of veterans to help some of those younger players. Once they develop, I don't think the Predators are going to keep them long term, right? You look at some of these guys, right? O'Reilly, Shen, they're not on the downside of their career yet, but you do worry about maybe the last year or two of those deals. Um, those could be buyout contracts in the next couple years. That is my one concern here. Um, for guys like O'Reilly and Shen, if they don't stay healthy, both those guys struggled to stay healthy this past season, and that's a lot of money for a couple of years. So I do have a little bit of concern about that. Um, but like I said, I think it's at this point more for the locker room and the mentorship for some of the younger guys in Nashville right now. So if even if that's all it is, and it's not necessarily just production, I think it's going to be a good thing. And Barry Trotz is trying to create that great culture in that locker room, and that's a great way to do that, bringing in some of those types of players. So good stuff so far. Yeah, Urban says still weird that Trotz is a GM. I wanted him to coach in Minnesota. Yeah, it is kind of weird how that's kind of unraveled, right? But good for Barry Trotz. I think it was at a point where I think he was really frustrated with all the coaching stuff. The way he got let go in Washington, the way he got let go in with the Islanders. I think he was just at a point where he's like, I just want to go somewhere and just know that there's a little bit more stability. So you can't really blame him for that. But yeah, I definitely understand. A lot of teams wanted him as their next head coach. What's going on, Blue Line Hockey? What's going on, Luis? Thank you guys for joining us here on this beautiful July 1st. And also to my people north of the border, happy Canada Day to my Canadians out there. It's July 1st. Usually free agency is always Canada Day. So congratulations to another year of not winning the Stanley Cup up north of the border. So you guys know, obviously I'm messing with you, but another day, another year, another Canadian team has not won a Stanley Cup. And like I said, we had a trade earlier today. And like I said, I predicted this one. I said, you go back to videos from like February, January, Joel Edmondson to the Washington Capitals. And now it is official. Just a few months later, maybe they watched my video a little bit late. But Joel Edmondson to the Washington Capitals for a 2024, I think third and seventh round picks. Also, Montreal is retaining 50% of the salary on Edmonton's deal. So that's actually a pretty good price for the Caps. He's a big defenseman. He's got 1 year left on his deal. He'll be a UFA next summer. But the key thing here is Joel Edmondson's injury history. That's kind of the problem here. If Joel Edmondson can stay healthy for the Caps, it's a great trade. If he can't stay healthy and plays maybe 20, 30 games at most this year, then that's where you probably look and say that third round pick might have been a little bit steep. But if he can play anywhere between 50 to 60 to 70 games this year, I think it would be worth it for the Capitals. To expect him to play a full 82 game schedule at this point, I don't think that's going to happen. He's dealt with a lot of injuries that are kind of gruesome. So hopefully he comes back and has a good season. This is a year to bounce back in Washington. He's going to have the ice time. He's going to have the opportunities. Just can he stay healthy and can he stay in the lineup? So we'll see what happens there. Who won? Caps or the Habs? Right now, I'm going to say Montreal won this trade. But if the Capitals win the Stanley Cup in 2024, nobody cares about that third round pick, right, Toe? So at this point, I'm going to say Montreal won the trade because they got a third round pick and a seventh. So they got 2 draft picks. And if, like I said, if Washington wins the Cup or Joel Edmondson can kind of do what I'm trying to think of his name. The defenseman that went to Detroit. It starts with a W, but whoever his name is, the guy that plays with Mo Sider, unless he turns into that, at this point, it's safe to say I think Montreal won the deal. Urban said Vegas signed Barbashev and Hill, traded Smith, can't do anything now. Yeah, that's probably it for Vegas. Yeah. We still have about $3 million in cap space, so I think we can sign a vet. Yes, Wallman. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Toe and Rob. Yeah, Jake Wallman. Yes. So and those don't happen that often, but if you're looking at like a Jake Wallman, if Joel Edmondson can be any version of that type of guy, like a shutdown defenseman, that just fits really well with someone, I could see it working out. But like I said, he needs to stay healthy. That's really the first order of business here for Edmondson. So we'll see what happens there. Thank you guys for letting me. Yeah, it was so frustrating because I'm like, man, I have the guy's name on the tip of my tongue. I just couldn't remember it in the moment. But all right. So do we have anybody else new here? So nobody new. So Jesper Fast, 2-year deal staying in Carolina. Kevin Stenlin in Florida. We knew that. So Semyon Varlamov will be staying a member of the New York Islanders. Kevin Weeks reports that Semyon Varlamov is re-signing with the Islanders. Contract details are not yet released. So Semyon Varlamov will be staying with the Islanders. And that's another one. We predicted that here first at Goal Line Hockey. So the Islanders will decide to keep Semyon Varlamov. I love that. I love Sorokin and Varlamov together. One of the best goalie duos in the National Hockey League. So that's really big for the Islanders. So we'll see what happens there. We're still waiting on what happens with Mayfield, Engvall, Parise, and Witherspoon. But the Islanders have brought back Varlamov. So a good start to the day. Also, we got news from Jamie Basco on Twitter. You guys remember that Russian goalie for the Philadelphia Flyers? Hold on, guys. I'm going to be right back. All right. Apologies for that, guys. So we are back. All right. So like I said, the Islanders keeping Semyon Varlamov. So good for the Islanders there. Thank you for joining us here, Bloody Talker. We got Luis, Toe, Urban, Blue Line Hockey. Rob Hubick. Thank you all for joining us here today. I hope Lane actually uses him. I think the Islanders will use him. The problem is, I mean, Sorokin is a really good goalie, and the Islanders like that 1A, 1B option. And you don't want to run Sorokin to the ground. That's something that a lot of teams have struggled with over the last couple of years, right? Shesterkin, in that the run last year that they went on, they did really well up until Shesterkin seemed like he was kind of losing gas in that conference finals. The Winnipeg Jets in the first round this year, that's always a problem with Hellebuck, is they basically run Hellebuck to the ground to where he's so tired mentally and physically. By the time the playoffs come around, he's already dead, right? Same thing for Carey Price. There's very few goaltenders that can do that consistently year after year. So I think it's better off. Yeah, same thing for Jake Ottinger this season, right? Exactly. So you guys get what I'm saying is you want to have a 1A, 1B situation. And the more that they were able to play Sorokin, yes, I want them to play Sorokin a ton, but you also have to consider, and I think Lane Lambert realized that at the end of the year, you do need to have both guys going because God forbid, let's say the second or third game of the first round of the playoffs, right? You haven't played Varlamov for 2 or 3 weeks because you were just trying to get into a wild card spot. Well, now you run into the spot where now you have a guy that hasn't played a game in a month in a playoff game. So that's where that kind of comes in and is something that, you got to, I think Lane Lambert has definitely gone through a lot of growing pains his first year as a coach, as a head coach at the very least. But for the most part, I definitely expect to see some improvement from Lambert next season. So it sounds like you guys are saying here in the chat, Blake Wheeler going to the Rangers. We were just talking about that, how he wants to go east. That's a perfect place, honestly, if that is true. Yep. So Blake Wheeler to the New York Rangers. So there you go. It's official. So that's their replacement to Ryan Reeves. They bring in Blake Wheeler. Blake Wheeler has more scoring upside than Ryan Reeves, and honestly, kind of brings that same presence. I think that's a good move by Chris Drury. Blake Wheeler to the Rangers, 1 year deal, $800K salary plus a $300K max bonus available. Yeah, the Rangers add a quality veteran. Absolutely, I love that deal. Luis said Duclair leaving for Calgary. I have heard that over the last couple of days. I don't know if it's been confirmed yet. But that's something that definitely has been thrown out there that Duclair would be looking to maybe go to a team like Calgary. So former, yeah. So okay, never mind. Oh, Matvei Michkov is doing some practice drills. Oh man, the Flyers fans love this guy. I'm gonna hate him as an Islander fan, but he is good, man. Apologies, guys. I think I have strep throat or something. I woke up the other day with like a really sore throat, so just grinding through it. You guys know how it is, man. The Bloody Talker, he earned another year as head coach. Power play and asset utilization needs to improve drastically. I know Josh Bailey had a bad year, but historically he has been good, a good player in the playoffs. Yeah, I think that's it for Bailey. He wants to stay home with his family. He's got a bunch of kids. They always went to the warm-ups for the games. I definitely feel for them right now. I understand that these guys get paid millions of dollars, and it's hard to be, feel sorry for them or anything like that. But I definitely know that was tough for him because he's been with the Islanders for a really long time. You would have liked to have seen a little more success in his time here. But I definitely it's definitely a tough time for him. I'm glad that Chicago bought him out. So now he's not obligated to play in Chicago and leave his family here. So we'll see how things go. But that seems to be what's going to happen with Bailey at some point. Surreal, thank you for joining us. Surreal, great way to kick off. Thank God it's Saturday morning with a Goal Line Hockey live stream. That is correct. Thank you so much, Surreal. I'm sure Ranger fans will be so nice about Blake Wheeler coming in. The problem about him, oh, the other thing I forgot to mention this. So the other day was announced that Quick would be going to the Rangers. That's always where he wanted to go. So Blake Wheeler signs a 1-year deal, as well as Jonathan Quick, 825K plus some bonuses. So both those deals, Quick and Wheeler, very much on the cheap side. About 800K for each of them, plus signing bonuses. That probably put them around 1 million for each. So Jonathan Quick and Blake Wheeler, welcome to Manhattan. So we'll see how that goes. So it sounds like Mayfield is also coming back to the Islanders. This is from David Pagnotta about a half hour ago. So all the rumors maybe about trading Alexi Lafreniere, they could go to bed. Elliot Friedman said about an hour ago, he said, word is the Rangers have indicated they are committed to keeping Alexi Lafreniere. So everybody's saying, oh, here we go, Lafreniere trade, this and that. I don't expect that anytime soon. Don't hold your breath on that. Louis said Spencer Knight is back and healthy, guys. That's good news. He's got the whole summer to build up some strength and really get ready for next season because it was a tough year for Spencer Knight, right? Obviously lost the net in the playoffs because of injury. So hopefully just he had a bad season overall. That's the sophomore slump. That's exactly what happens. And I expect to bounce back for him next year. Absolutely. So that's great stuff there by Luis. Thank you. So nothing's really happening here so far, guys. I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens with some of these the backup goalies because there's a lot of goalies that are available right now. Um, Martin Jones, Yaroslav Halak, Tristan Jari, Jonas Corpusalo. There's a lot of goalies on the market. Freddie Anderson. So it's going to be interesting to see where those guys all end up going. The Red Wings have signed Gustav Lindstrom to a 1-year extension. So we knew that earlier this morning. Yeah, so Luis said Jari is not staying with the Penguins. Yeah, so that is what we're hearing. Tristan Jari. Sounds like the Dubas is completely blowing it up in Pittsburgh. The entire everybody in between the pipes in Pittsburgh is probably gone. We've heard that Casey DeSmith might even get traded, and Tristan Jarry is likely out the door. So keep an eye out for Pittsburgh. Definitely one, if not, they might even be taking two goalies today in Pittsburgh, depending on how things fall. So keep an eye on the Penguins goalie situation. Mackenzie Blackwood also available. No, he signed a 2-year extension in San Jose. The Sharks acquired his rights about a week ago, right before the draft. So Mackenzie Blackwood signed a 2-year deal, 2.35 million per season. So we'll see what happens with that. But honestly, I think that was actually a bit of an overpayment for Blackwood. He cannot stay healthy. I've been talking about him for years, the last 2 or 3 years. Guy cannot stay healthy. So I hope the best for him. I wish the best, but he's got to be in the lineup, man. So right now they're talking about on the TSN broadcast. They're basically saying that somebody should offer sheet Jeremy Swayman. What do you guys think of that? Would you go after Jeremy Swayman? Because the Bruins don't have the cap space at the moment. So that could be kind of interesting. I want to know your guys' thoughts there. So then, so 3.5 million AAV. So Ranta, Kochekov, Anders, a little bit surprised. I'm not going to lie. I didn't think they would be bringing him back. It's been a quiet morning, guys. Wow. Really not much here. We're waiting to see what happens with guys like Orlov and things like that. But other than that, guys, it's been a really dry morning here. All right, guys. I don't know. Nothing's really happening here. So some of the ones we heard earlier, O'Reilly and Shen go to Nashville. Carolina's keeping everybody. Their tandem, Peter Kochekov, Freddie Anderson, and Antti Raanta. And if that sounds familiar, it's the exact same from last year. So everybody stays in Carolina. They also kept Jesper Fast. Also, Blake Wheeler sticks around with the Rangers, so we'll see how that goes. Tyson Yost signs a 1 year deal with the Buffalo Sabres. 1 year deal, $2 million. So interesting move there as Tyson Yost, former North Dakota product, goes to the Sabres. Interesting. Yeah, it was a great last week or two for the Devils, right? They bring back Eric Halla, Jesper Bratt, Timo Meyer. They brought in Foley, which I think was a great move. That was a steal. I don't know what Calgary was thinking there, but that was a really, really nice contract to take on. Yeah, it's not the best thing in the world. He had a down season, but we know what Toffoli's capable of. I think Calgary definitely lost a lot in that trade. So there's a bunch of no move clauses that are kicking in today. And this is according to Cap Friendly. This is from Frank Saravelli. He says, so we've got Toronto Maple Leafs got William Nylander. He's got a modified no trade clause. Austin Matthews, full no move clause. Marner, full no move clause. Travis Sanheim, remember that atrocious deal? The first year of that 8 year deal kicks in today. Travis Sanheim has a full no trade clause. Oh my God. Flyers are going to be in a world of hurt with that one. Jacob Chikrin has a modified no trade clause that kicks in. Brandon Carlo of the Bruins, modified no trade clause. Christian Dvorak of the Habs, he also has a modified no trade clause that kicked in today. JT Miller, yes, that massive 8 year extension that kicks off today. Full no movement clause for JT Miller. Mackenzie Weegar of the Calgary Flames, he signed that, remember he signed that deal a year ago. Full no trade clause. Let's put it this way. The theme of this is guys that were way overpaid. Their deals are just getting started and they already look like bad contracts. And the worst of that list, absolutely, is JT Miller and Travis Sanheim. Far and away the worst contracts on that list. Yeah, that was such a bad trade because Toffoli, if I'm not mistaken, I think Calgary gave up a first, a second, and a decent prospect to get Toffoli from Montreal. And now they flipped him for a third and a middling prospect, not even the Devils' better, one of the Devils' better prospects. That was an incredible trade. Yo, what's going on, Shaka? Thank you for joining us. It's good to see you in the chat. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Wow. I can't retweet them, but the Senators announced Jonas Corposalo on a 5 year deal, $4 million per season. Wow. So Elliot Freeman dropping a bombshell from the Ottawa Senators, a 5 year, $20 million contract for Jonas Corposalo. Wow. That's a pretty big one there for the Ottawa Senators. So the Rangers signed Tyler Pitlick as well. So the Rangers making a couple of moves here this early on this afternoon. The Rangers bring in Tyler Pitlick, Jonathan Quick, and Blake Wheeler. So that's the latest up in New York for the Rangers. We're still waiting for a lot of stuff to come through, so stay tuned here because the big ones on the board are, this is, let's be honest, this is not the free agency class that we've seen the last couple of years. It's pretty bad actually. Dmitry Orlov is pretty much the top guy in this year's free agency class. So we'll see what that means, but yeah, it's definitely going to be something to watch for. Like I said, Corpusalo going to the Senators, that is crazy, man. That's investment right there by the Senators in between the pipes, which also probably means that they are not going to bring somebody else in. So the Senators, any rumors about them bringing in a number one goalie, that's not going to be the case. They've got their guy now in Corpusalo. What's funny is, too, they've kind of flipped because Cam Talbot, who was on the Senators last season, now goes to LA, and LA loses Corpusalo to the Ottawa Senators. So Shaka said, if Orlov is the best free agent available, that's a rough free agency class. Yeah, it is. That is a very true statement. Tampa lost their backup goalie, Elliott. Yep. Yeah, I could see Tampa Bay maybe getting a guy. The one I've heard a lot is Martin Jones. He spent last season in Seattle. He was with the Flyers before that. So apparently the Maple Leafs are interested in Josh Bailey, and that's from Elliot Friedman and Jeff Merrick. Do you think Bailey would do well in Toronto? Wow. So Josh Bailey, that would be a heck of a move there. We'll see what happens. But yeah, so for Shaka and some of you other guys in here, basically what we have so far is just an amalgamation of just signings everywhere. It's a lot of the same teams making moves. So for Carolina, to keep you guys back on track, so Nashville is really the headliner so far. They had the most cap space coming into today. They bring in Luke Shen, a 3-year deal, $2.75 million per season. They also bring in Ryan O'Reilly, 4 years, $4.5 million per season. So Luke Shen and O'Reilly come together as a pair down to Music City. So the Nashville Predators making some noise here this afternoon. Oliver Ekman-Larsson and Kevin Stenlund go to the Florida Panthers. Lane Peterson goes to the Edmonton Oilers. Joel Edmondson, I made this prediction this spring, but I said Joel Edmondson would be a perfect fit for the Capitals. He's now a member of the Capitals. He was traded by the Montreal Canadiens for a third and a seventh, and the Montreal Canadiens retaining half of his salary. That contract ends next season. Nathan Bastian and Mikey McLeod, they stick around in New Jersey. They will stay with the New Jersey Devils. Jesper Fast signs a 2-year deal to stay in Carolina. And James Van Riemsdyk, this makes a lot of sense. Joining the Boston Bruins, 1 year, $1 million salary. And then some of the more recent ones here, we've got Jonas Corpusalo coming in, 4 years, $20 million. That's $5 million per 5-year, $20 million deal, $4 million per season. That's the cap hit there. So Jonas Corpusalo, the biggest goalie ticket so far today. Former Islanders prospect Kyle Burroughs. He spent last season with the Vancouver Canucks. He gets a 3-year deal coming in at $1.1 million per season. He's now a member of the San Jose Sharks. So congratulations to former Bridgeport Tiger Kyle Burroughs. The Rangers have signed Tyler Pitlick, so that's another guy on their cap hit. So now that's Wheeler, Quick, Blake Wheeler, Jonathan Quick, and Tyler Pitlick. So there you go. The Rangers making some depth moves. So that is kind of the recap of today so far. Nothing crazy. Klim Kostin is now a member of the Red Wings. They traded for him the other day. 2 years, $2 million per season. Kyle Burroughs is now a member of the Shaka. He's a former Islander. He was a decent prospect, nothing crazy. He's probably going to be a decent third pairing defenseman, a puck moving defenseman. There is some talent there. He's a little bit rough around the edges. He's a tough guy to play against. I liked Kyle Burroughs with the Islanders. He just wasn't going to get a chance with the Islanders. He got traded to the Vancouver Canucks. And he's actually played quite well in Vancouver. So I think he's going to be a good fit for the Sharks. Eric Johnson goes to the Buffalo Sabres. So Eric Johnson leaving the Mile High City. He was drafted first overall by the Avalanche and has been there his entire career until today. Eric Johnson, a 1-year ticket, 3.25 million on a 1-year deal for Eric Johnson to the Buffalo Sabres. Interesting. So here you guys are saying that apparently Radko Gudas is going to Buffalo, to Anaheim. So if the Anaheim Ducks sound like they could be trying to add a little bit more grit to that team, I think that would be a really good pickup if they do get Gudas in there. So we'll see when that becomes official. You guys are saying it in the chat, so I'm gonna believe you. But we're waiting to see confirmation. Yes, so it is official. So Radko Gudas goes to the Anaheim Ducks, 3-year contract, $4 million per season. That is a huge overpayment by Pat Verbeek, but it's enough to bring in Radko Gudas. So Radko Gudas, 3 years, $12 million, $4 million per season. So that's a big ticket for Radko Gudas. But the Ducks have the cap space. They're coming out of a rebuild, so it makes sense. They need somebody to protect some of those smaller guys on the team, especially with how big the Sharks are starting to get, as well as the Kings. I think that's their biggest competitor, is seeing how big the Kings have gotten. So Radko Gudas is now a member of the Ducks. I like it. It's just a little bit expensive. Luis, yeah, I know. He's upset that Radko Gudas is no longer in the Florida Panthers organization. Yeah, that sucks. It's kind of weird seeing him not in Florida, but as a Ducks fan, I'm pretty happy about it, I will say. So the Red Wings, wow. So James Reimer going to the Red Wings, a 1-year deal, 1.5 million. So they add a little bit of depth. That probably means Sebastian Costa is probably not ready. And I would keep an eye on the Red Wings here because I could see them making a trade. Whether they trade Nedeljkovic or that really, like I said, might just mean that Costa's not ready. So that's something to watch for. But they did bring in James Reimer, so there's some depth in between the pipes for the Red Wings. It's Reimer an upgrade over Ned? I don't know about that, Rob, but that's why I think they're looking to trade Ned. I think that's the mindset here. I think it's because of the cap space. I think that's what it's ultimately going to be for. I'm not sure. Reimer had a rough season last year with the Sharks. He had a couple games where he played well that I watched of him. He looked okay, but I guess they're going to rely a lot more on Ville Husso. Yeah, Shaka brings up, he said, I'm sure you saw the Islanders schedule release. Yes. Don't they play the Rangers on St. Patrick's Day? It's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, there's going to be a lot going on in that game. A lot of people in the city. Of course, recreational drinking at Madison Square Garden with Islanders and Ranger fans. I can't imagine anything going wrong. Now, it's also interesting about next season. I think the Islanders are going to basically, yeah, for this entire year, for the calendar year of 2023, the New York Islanders and the New York Rangers will not play each other once. They haven't played each other since, I believe, December of this year, and they're not going to be playing each other till February when they play in the Stadium Series game at MetLife Stadium outdoors. And of course, the second game after that, they will be playing at Madison Square Garden on St. Patrick's Day. And then they play, I think it's like the last week of the season, the Islanders host the Rangers at UBS. So, really weird scheduling there by the NHL. The fact that A, they're only playing each other 3 times in a season, and B, they're gonna go an entire calendar year without playing each other. So, that is building up a lot of tension for that game next February. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. So we've also got some more news here from the Teddy Bears. The Boston Bruins signed a 2-year deal on Morgan Geekie, $2 million per season. So 2 years, $4 million total for Morgan Geekie. He had a good season for the Kraken last year. So honestly, I think the Bruins, that's a pretty good move for them. He's still fairly young. He put up points. He put up some points last year. I think that was a good move for them. Absolutely. So it sounds official here. So the Oilers have signed Connor Brown to a 1-year deal worth 4 million AAV. So there you go. Connor Brown officially is going to the Oilers as that is now made official. So we'll see how that plays out. But it's only a 1-year deal. Even if Connor Brown isn't healthy, it's a 1-year deal. So it's very low risk here. But the fact they had 4 million in the first place is kind of interesting there by the Oilers. That's what that I guess that's the Klim Kostin trade allowed them to have that cap space. Eric Brandstrom signs a 1-year extension, 2 million AAV to stay with. Okay, all right. So Eric Brandstrom signs a 1-year extension to stay in Ottawa. So this Connor Brown trade is really interesting. So Connor Brown lands a bonus laden deal with the Oilers. So it comes out to 1 year at 775K. But once you put in the performing bonuses, it's basically the equivalent of $4 million potentially on the table for Connor Brown. I really like this deal by Ken Holland. That is a cap circumvention right there. I like that move a lot by the Edmonton Oilers. Everybody gives Ken Holland a lot of heat, but honestly, I think that was a really good move. If I got to be honest with you. So I'm sure the Avalanche fans aren't going to be too happy when they find out that both Eric Johnson and Tyson Yost both leave the Avalanche to head up to Buffalo. Yost signed a 2-year deal in Buffalo. Eric Johnson signed a 1-year deal. So the former North Dakota product in Tyson Yost, former first round pick, it just hasn't materialized for him. I saw him in person at the Garden. It was Boston College versus North Dakota at MSG for a college hockey game. And he looked good at the time, but I think a lot's happened since then in a negative way. So hopefully he's able to find his direction in Buffalo. There's going to be a lot of offensive opportunity there. Maybe not in terms of minutes, but the players he's going to be playing around, there's a lot of talent there. And if he could find a role on that third line, man, Buffalo could have a pretty good player there with Tyson Yost. Shaka said, great week for Buffalo. Benson was a steal at 13. Absolutely. He was projected to go like top 8. And for him to fall at 13, yeah, that was a huge win for them. No doubt about it. The Green. So they're announcing right now that it is official. Milan Lucic is indeed coming back to Boston, man. That is crazy. So let me know what you guys think so far. What do you guys think of some of the movement? So Matt Luff in Detroit, Zane McIntyre. I don't know if Urban's still in here, but Zane McIntyre, Nick Sweeney, and Dakota Murmas, all three of them signed a 1-year extension. It's probably just Iowa contracts. The Minnesota Wild making a couple of guys, bringing a couple of Iowa Wild players back into the fold. So we'll see how that works out for them. And Patrick Kane, I wouldn't be surprised if Kane ends up being the John Klingberg of last year. I think Patrick Kane's a guy that's maybe going to have some attention, but I don't think he's going to get the numbers that he wants. And I think he's going to wait it out. I could see him waiting maybe another week or two. I think if there's anybody that we're going to be waiting on, it's probably Patrick Kane. Tarasenko is still on the board. That's someone to watch for. Tyler Bertuzzi, Jason Zucker, Alex Killorn, Dmitry Orlov. Those are some of the top guys that we are still waiting to see what happens. I'm probably going to be here for like another 20 minutes, guys. So we're going to have to, let's hope that things get done here in the next 20 or so minutes. But I'm glad that you guys are joining us. If you've not already, make sure to like the stream. It obviously helps out a lot. Get more people and traffic here to the channel and our live stream to interact and discuss this because unfortunately it's been a little bit slow. There's been a couple of signings here and there, but nothing of any real magnitude. Just looking at some of the names: Matt Dumba, Brian Dumoulin, Tomas Tatar, Gustav Nyquist, Matt Duchene, Pierre Engvall, Carson Soucy, Evan Rodriguez are all still on the board. Now, apparently, there was rumors that Barry Trotz was talking to the Washington Capitals about Evgeny Kuznetsov. Now, if that's true, that would be really, you want to talk about a culture change. You bring in Evgeny Kuznetsov into Nashville. I don't know how that would go over in that locker room, especially now with guys like Luke Schenn and Ryan O'Reilly there. But I definitely found that something that was intriguing, to say the least. So we'll see if anything happens there. Buffalo bringing in former Boston Bruin Connor Clifton, 3 years, 3.33 million AAV. So that's 3 years, 9.99 million over those 3 years. So Connor Clifton is now a member of the Buffalo Sabres. So the Sabres adding some blue liners, right? They brought in Connor Clifton. They brought in Eric Johnson. Up front, they brought in Tyson Yost. A couple of interesting pickups here by the Buffalo Sabres and Kevin Adams. So the Rangers have signed Riley Nash to a 2-year deal. That's probably just another guy for Hartford. So apparently this from David Pagnotta. He said the Anaheim Ducks are very interested in Senators forward Alex DeBrincat. So we'll see what happens there. That would be really interesting. The Ducks would really be making a splash if they brought in the Cat, but it's going to come at a price. So we'll see what happens there. All right, guys. So I think we're going to wrap it up here. Obviously, stay tuned because there's a couple more signings that are going to happen throughout the afternoon and over the next couple of days. So definitely stay tuned to the channel. If you're not already, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure you watch yesterday's video. We talked about the Detroit Red Wings. That is one of my most watched videos over that span of time, probably for this year. So thank you guys so much to my Red Wings fans, to all you guys out there for watching the videos, joining us for the live stream. You guys are the best. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.